Hayley Palmer. It's so good to have you here with me on today's show, especially as we are joined by singer and songwriter Ronan Furlong. And here is what happened when I caught up with him. Ronan, it's great to have you here on the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing brilliant. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for having me on the show. It's a great pleasure to be here.
It's a real pleasure. And I've got to say, where are you chatting to us today from?
So this is my little studio where I do all my recording. And you'll see several guitars and drums and keyboards and all sorts of musical instruments. And a picture of Rory Gallagher, and there's one of Freddie back there somewhere as well. So this is my little this is my studio, and this is where I do all my recording. And it's a kind of a special place for me. It's in my house.
It's handy.
It's been a very creative space for me, to be honest with you, so it's been lovely to have this. I'm very fortunate to have such a facility when so many people are, so tight for space. It's great to have a room that I can create in, and it's well soundproofed, and I don't annoy the rest of the family too much, I hope. So, it works
And you
quite
had
well.
that room in lockdown, right?
Yeah, I sure
You
did.
had that space to go to. Oh, wow, you're really fortunate.
Yeah, and I did a lot of work in lockdown, to be honest. I did the guts of 3 albums, to be honest with you. I did the King of Leaves album, which I was really happy about, to be honest, at the time, in terms of how it turned out. I did the Ataraxia album, which is my most recent album, and that did very well for me by my sort of meager standards. I was very happy with that. And my latest album I recorded here. So over the course of 2 years, I kind of did 3 albums. So
That's
that'll
pretty
tell you.
impressive.
So it's flowing. Well, I suppose it's only impressive if the music's any good, so I can't really say that one way or the other, but that's for other
Well,
people
we're
to
going to be
judge.
checking out some of your videos today. We're going to start with, I'm probably going to say this wrong, Hades Nebula. Am I saying that wrong?
Yeah, Hades Nebula, very close.
Okay, that's the one.
Yeah.
This is beautiful. Like, what made you firstly make this video? Because it's stunning.
Well, the song is very special to me, to be honest with you, and it's a kind of song about escapism and creativity and indulging your creativity and just having a creative space for your imagination to roam free in. So that's kind of what Hades Nebula is. It was originally called Dionysus Nebula. Dionysus was the Greek god of the arts and the performing arts, but it's kind of hard to sing that, to be honest. So it was alleged that that Hades, one of the Greek gods, was Dionysus in disguise. So I said, okay, that'll do, Hades Nebula. So that's how Hades got smuggled in, even though it sounds a bit funny. Hades, people associate it with the underworld, but he had a dual meaning. But anyway, so it's a very special song to me, and I really wanted to do an animated video, but it took a long time. But I worked with a very friend of mine and a very talented local artist and storyboard animator called Ben Hennessy. And he kindly took me under his wing, and I gave him the bones of what I wanted to do in terms of the visuals, and he helped. Well, he didn't help it, he did it, he drew it up for me. And obviously he drew it way better than I could imagine it. I wanted that kind of Japanese manga style, and I wanted it to have kind of cool space scenes and stuff. And then the next thing we had to do was go find a studio who could make it sort of on a budget, to be honest with you. And that took a long time, but we found a really good, a really great company in Mumbai, and and they were really great to work with, and so they made it, and it to be honest with you, it turned out probably better than I expected it would. To be I was really happy with it, and they really followed Ben's storyboard, but they added their own creativity. There's a gentleman called Deepak was the main animator, and it was a great pleasure to work with him, and. So that's where that idea. So I was very happy that my thoughts for how it should look visually complemented the music and the song, and hopefully people who watch it now will like it as well, because I'm very happy how it turned out.
We like it here on the show. Check this video out. I'll be catching up with Ronan on the other side of this.
Tonight, make me wanna sing to the open arms. of the Hades Nebula. As if it's all the same to you, and nothing means a thing, and you don't have to listen, and I won't try explain. But there's something in the air, and the stars are on the rise. Let the cities dwell in darkness. I'm gonna take a chance tonight. Come to me tonight, make me wanna sing to the open arms of the Hades Nebula. Come to me tonight, make me wanna sing to the open arms of the Hades Nebula.
Ronan, I want to know how everything started. Where did you get your passion for music, for singing, for songwriting? Talk us through that.
Well, I've always absolutely loved music since I was of a young age. My eldest brother, Damien, he was a music lover as well, and he had a very eclectic taste in music. So like an awful lot of people, I was very influenced by my older siblings, and I'd be checking out their music collection and their albums and stuff like that. We had a really good music system in the house too, so it was just something I really enjoyed. I would say the first band that really inspired me, and still does to this day, by the way, is my old friends Queen. Absolutely amazing band and musicians, and I saw them at the Jubilee concert, still blowing everybody else off the stage, so they can still do it. And I think Dr. May's in his 70s now, fair play to him. So in fact, I have one of his guitars over there in the corner there, so there you go.
No way!
Yeah, I got that. My family bought me that for my birthday a few years ago, but so yeah,
present.
yeah. So then, but I mean, they were one of many bands that I would have loved. Rainbow and Deep Purple and Black Sabbath, mostly British bands, and then Irish musicians like Rory Gallagher in particular, but also Irish musicians like Donal Lunny, Luke Kelly. You mightn't be as familiar with those. Paul Brady, but I very much enjoy Irish folk and Celtic music as well. The Horselips are a great Irish band, so a very kind of eclectic mix. And I suppose lyrically, the likes of Leonard Cohen and Roger Waters and stuff. So yeah, I've been into music a long time. I was lucky enough to get lessons from Rodrigo and Gabriela. They're a very famous Mexican guitar duo. They used to live in Dublin, and I kind of hounded them down, and they gave me lessons. So that's one of the reasons why I love playing guitar so much. So I tried to bring that forward on my songs,
Yeah, that's incredible. And what about your songwriting? I mean, is it quite hard to kind of sit down and write a song, or do you just kind of go, actually, I'm in my quiet space, and you kind of put, pen to paper? How does it work?
I'm very, it's like this, when it's flown big time, and you have like this like yeah, you just have to grab them while they're hot, literally, and try capture. Yeah, because you lose them if you don't. It's like because you don't use your brain. It's something else. Where the songs come from. I don't want to sound pretentious, but that's just the way it is. It's not as though you sit down and say, right, today I'm going to write a song. It doesn't happen that way. You're doing something, walking, or you're running, or you're, could be walking down the street on the way to work or something. I mean, you wouldn't know what you'd be doing, minding the kids, and suddenly a melody, and you're like, oh, hello.
Yeah.
I like the sound of that. What will I do with that? And what I do is, I have a repository of kind of ideas I'd like to write songs about, if you know what I mean. So when I hear a melody I like, I think, okay, now what's going to go with that? And an example of that, I think, is the song we're playing next, is Hoplite Armour. So I had an idea of what I wanted to write for, I just needed a melody. Now, when I got the Hoplite Armour melody, I was actually in France when that one came to me. I remember I was like, oh, okay, I like this. It just really gelled with me, if you know what I mean. And the song was written quite quickly because I already knew the themes and stuff. I mean, it takes a while for the lyrics I spend quite a bit of time on the lyrics. But the bones of, when you know what you want to write about, it's so much easier. But so you kind of have the ideas parked away, and when a good melody comes, then you try and match them and see what works, if that makes sense. That's what I do anyway. Not saying it's any good or not, but that's my method.
It definitely works, and we're going to check it out right now on the show. Enjoy.
Hoplite armor weight on me, shield feels like a stone, dust and smoke are blinding me, fear sinks in my bones, stormy spears assailing me, friends fall one by one, I am next in line for grief, darkness calling me home, but all I can see is the star-filled night, and all I can hear is the desert chime, broken borders marching forward. Constant warfare, shouting orders tears my heart away. Screaming murder, huddled closer, tears my heart away. Full retreat in haste, I fear. Flank was badly exposed. Broken bodies beneath my feet. Shield abandoned alone. Scaling mountain route complete. Fleet is leaving my shore. Enemies attacking me, flashing weapons of war. But all I can see is the star-filled night, and all I can hear is the desert chime, and broken borders marching forward. Constant warfare, shouting orders tears my heart away. Screaming murder, huddled closer, tears my heart away. Track churning below, breastplate armor sinking deep. Time has come to go. Graves in shin and pressing heat, flesh and bronze are one. War rotates its endless wheel, so the cycle goes on. But all I can see is the star-filled night, and all I can hear is the desert chime, and broken borders marching forward.
exclusive here on the show. It's called Redeemer. We want to know everything there is to know about this.
Well, Redeemer it's just been released on the 10th of June, and it's a song I like very much. I very much like playing it, and it's one. I mean, I wrote it quite some time ago. I wrote it. This is what I was saying about earlier. I was actually on the beach in a very, very happy form. I was walking on the beach, and there's a lovely forest overlooking the beach, and I'd just been walking to the forest, and I was feeling particularly happy with life. And just the lyrics kind of just popped into my head, and I said, okay, gotta try remember this. And I rushed home and picked up the guitar and recorded it quickly onto my little phone, just so I captured it. And the song was written quite quickly after that, quicker than normal, to be honest with you. And it's kind of stood the test of time, actually, I feel. Not to praise my own work, but what I'm saying is it stood the test of time because, I still enjoy singing it, and when I play it, it gets quite a good reaction and stuff like that. And it's an easy song to listen to. It's not it's quite an upbeat, positive song. You know what I mean? It's a song I'm very comfortable with, and it's doing quite well since it's been released. Thank goodness, it's got loads of airplay. Which is very gratifying. Yeah. I think maybe more than any song I've ever released so far. So but again, it's quite, I suppose, mainstream in some respects, but that's fine. I mean, it's a nice, happy song, and I really like playing it. And it's the first song from my new album as well, so that's why I chose that, because it's a song. Your first single, you want to pick something you're comfortable with. So I'm very comfortable with that song, and I'm very proud, happy how it represents me, if you know what I mean. The new album is called The Hive Mind's Holiday. That's a little bit of unusual. It's which is actually the name of one of my songs as well. So that's the name of the album, The Hive Mind's Holiday. That's out in September.
Okay.
And The Redeemer is the first song.
Woo! There's a lot going on. Right, so we want to remind everyone at home, the album is out in September. You can get hold of the song Redeemer. Right now we're going to put details on the screen below, and check this out. This is the new single by Ronan Furlong. Enjoy.
Carry me on, my Redeemer. Guide me through the storm. Keeping me safe, my Redeemer. Keep me moving on. Day to day we're dreaming. Day to day we fall. If I find some peace of mind, I'll be ready for the storm. Used to be some kind of dreamer. I hide my face from the world. Now I know my own Redeemer, and I will not return. Day to day we're dreaming. Day to day we fall. If I find some peace of mind, I'll be ready for the storm. Day to day we're dreaming. Day to day we fall. If I find some peace of mind, I'll be ready for the storm.
Now, one of our lovely viewers, Maria, says, She loves your music, but who would you most like to duet with, Ronan?
I'd
like to know that as well.
I would. Thank you for asking, Maria. That's a great question. I would love to duet with Richie Blackmore of Deep Purple, Rainbow, and latterly Blackmore's Night, and he's back in Rainbow now. But anyway, Richie Blackmore, an amazing guitar player, huge influence on me, absolutely massive. Again, I mentioned there's a Brian May guitar there. There's a black Stratocaster this side of me, and Richie used to play a black Strat, and then he went on to a cream Strat. But anyway, the point of it is, he's a huge influence on me in terms of his style and the aggression and how he played, and he was a real virtuoso, but also an incredible musician, like great songwriter, use of arpeggios for melody, huge influence. Also used a lot of Eastern scales in songs like The Gates of Babylon, which were hugely influential on me, and many guitar players. So I'd love to do something with Richie. David Coverdale would be a great guy too, from Whitesnake and also Deep Purple. Just he's such a great voice on him. But there's so many people I'd love to work with, to be honest with you. But those two gents do spring to mind.
Is there anyone currently in the charts that you admire, or is it all kind of more old school? Like no.
I admire. Well, no, it's not so much that. I admire Ed Sheeran just because of what he's achieved, and his granny is from Wexford, and I'm from Wexford, so there's a kind of a small link. But he's got very strong. He's very strong of his Irish, very proud of his Irish roots. But apart from that, he just comes across as a great guy. But I really admire his work ethic. He worked his tail off to get to it. People don't realise how hard. I mean, there's a story about how he took James Blunt, who was at the time the hardest working sort of British musician, and said, "Can I see his schedule?" And he said, "Okay, I'm going to do that by 3." And apparently he did. And obviously the rest is history. But he works so hard. So I really admire that about the guy, and his voice. I don't know how he plays these 2.5-hour shows without blowing his voice out. He really minds himself. So he's a great role model. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
He's a family man. So I have a lot of time for him. So he'd probably be the most of the current guys. I have a lot of respect for Ed, I must say.
Yeah. I think that's a really important message as well, the work ethic, because people just see the songs, don't they? But they don't go but what goes on behind the scenes is the most important thing, isn't it? So.
But sure, look, how many amazing musicians people haven't heard of because they either just haven't had the luck or the application. But Ed works so hard, and good luck to him. You know what I mean? He deserves all his success. He's a good guy.
Yeah, we love a bit of Ed Sheeran. Well, we're going to go into your next song, "The King of Leaves."
Thank you.
Now, this is quite a haunting song, isn't it? Where did this all come from?
Well, first of all, I would like to call out Simon Atterbury, who worked on the video for me on this one, and he was he's a great guy to work with. But I was particularly happy with what we did on this video. A lot of it was shot locally, again, too close to where I live, and so we used that footage, and Simon then took that footage and used it to pull the video together, and added some of his own footage as well. So I was really delighted with that. But the song, anyway. It was I was reading a lot about the ancient Celts actually, and how they revered nature, but more importantly though, how they were afraid of upsetting the gods of nature. To be honest with you, like they were particularly oak trees and stuff like that. They'd be very wary of cutting one down. They'd apologise in advance. Even before they cut down a harvest, they used to apologise in advance to the local gods, which might sound kind of primitive or whatever to a modern eye, but I just thought was really interesting when you consider how we're desecrating our planet at the moment. They are in contrast. I mean, we would regard them as primitive people, but they weren't primitive how they treated their environment and the respect they had for it. So that really inspired the song. And I suppose the King of Leaves character maybe is their, a personification of nature's retribution. So there's that's why it's a bit haunting, because it's a bit ominous. The king returns. So God help us all.
We're going to check out the video right now on the show.
King of Leaves is marching out tonight. The Lord of Thorns is most satisfied. A wound that festered long is metastasized. The cords that bound him down have been untied. An army of the wind is on the rise and sweeping all before the bridge of sighs. No honey words can ease his angry mind. He calling down the storm, sent away the dawn. He's fooling everyone. Oh yeah, his patience is forgone. Sent away the dawn. He's calling down the storm. The king of leaves is marching out tonight. And who am I to tell him what is right? Vengeance on the wind and on the tide. The king of thorns has mayhem on his mind, and whispers of a dark and troubled time reached his ears across the great divide, and rising from the deep but very quiet, the king of leaves is vengeance on his mind. He calling down the storm, sent away the dawn. He's fooling everyone. Oh yeah, he's calling down the storm. He sent away the dawn. He's fooling everyone.
Now, another question from one of our wonderful viewers, Mike. He says, where is the best place that you have played, Roland?
Thank you, Mike. Well, I can say to you, one of the most memorable gigs I did, because it's a place steeped in history, was the Alley Cat in London. And I don't think it's a venue anymore. It's close to Soho there, but it's a very famous venue, so it was special to me to play there because the likes of the Rolling Stones and the Kinks, and I think perhaps even the Beatles and Jimi Hendrix, many of the great sort of late 60s bands would have socialised there and would have played there. I'm sure Eric Clapton would have played there as well. So it was, I was delighted to go. I was very grateful. Guy Thompson and Mark Lee organised that gig for me. And Steve Blackwell, you might know Steve, he's a friend of yours, I think. Steve introduced me.
Big shout out to Steve.
Yeah, great guy, really great guy. And I'm actually working with Steve at the moment. He's a great guy. But anyway, Steve introduced me, and I was delighted to have Steve there, to be honest with you. So for lots of reasons, and it was a real nice gig, really cool audience, and I really enjoyed the night. And we went out and hit the town afterwards, so the whole thing was great. And some friends travelled. Yeah. So it was really nice. I would say, just for what it's worth, though, the nicest ever feeling I had at a gig actually was in Wexford. It was the Wexford Arts Centre, which is a beautiful venue, and it was the first time I played there several times, but it was the first time I played there, and it was after the first encore. I remember I walked off stage and I literally had this kind of, it's hard to describe, but it was the most lovely feeling of bliss in my head. It's a strange thing to describe, but I've never felt it since. It was just really lovely feeling. So
those memories you cherish, don't you?
Yeah, and I've always tried to repeat that, but I don't think I ever will again. It was just a special moment. But it was, I walked off stage elated, to be honest, and I could hear the crowd were asking for more, and I was just so happy and relieved it had gone well, and I just had this lovely feeling. So anyway, that's Wexford Arts. I was probably the nicest ever, but the probably most prestigious or kind of iconic would have been the Alley Cat for me, I think.
And is there anywhere you'd like to play? Is there a venue that you just got your eyes set on moving forward in the future?
Yeah, I'd love to play the Troubadour in London.
Oh yeah.
yeah. I'd love to play that. That's another famous venue. Just something playing in some places that have a heritage and that have a history, and you know what I mean. That means a lot to me. If you know what I mean. That means a lot to me. And I would get very inspired playing a place where other great artists played. Not that I'm saying I'm a great artist, but you know, people that I admire and look up to, and you know what I mean. It's just a great privilege to think that you might be on a stage that they would have played on. So that'd mean a lot to me.
We have to make that happen. We've got to make it happen.
I got to work on that.
Yeah, we're going to.
I get on to Steve Black now.
Yeah, exactly. Get his people into your people. Yeah, we're going to go into Seneca Says. Now, this was our song of the week. We chose this one because we loved it. I mean, tell us the story behind this song for people that don't know.
Well, very briefly, again, to use the expression again, it's a very special song to me because I'm a huge fan of Seneca. Seneca was a Roman philosopher, and he wrote the most lovely books. And I know when you say philosophy, people switch off and think, oh God, you know, that's inaccessible. But he wrote really practical philosophy. It was more, it was more a kind of life advice, actually, to be honest, is really the way to think about it, and kind of an operating system for life, actually, is what it is. And he had a great, he was one of the Stoic, I know I'm saying that properly, that's how I pronounce it, philosophers. And himself and Epictetus and some of those Roman guys, they just had really practical advice, and it's amazing how relevant it is today. So in terms of dealing with trouble and dealing with hard times, so it was really inspirational. And he wrote these lovely letters to his friends and to his mother. He got exiled. I mean, he had a tough life. He got exiled. He was actually forced to commit suicide by Nero eventually, the poor fella. But anyway, when he was in exile, he wrote to his mother this lovely letter. And I was reading the letter, just consoling her and saying, oh, don't be worried about me, and no, this isn't so bad, and this is nothing, and look how I can do. You know, a real positive letter. And I was reading this, going, what a great guy. So that made me want to write a song about Seneca. So that's what it's called, Seneca Says. And I try to, in my own way, capture his core messages as I understand them in the lyrics. So I hope people enjoy the song. I certainly liked singing it and writing it.
Wow. Okay, we're going to look at the video right now, and so I'll be catching up with Ronan after this.
I'm troubled by the night, I'm troubled by the day. I'm etched by the wind and I'm shaped by the rings of fortune. But Seneca said, don't you worry your head, these gales can fade and ease the mind's distortion. High on the heights there's a glittering prize, the clarion call, the fresh rewards of plunder. But trapped like a fly in a terrible light, the journey down drags my spirit under. So find me a kill with the tranquil sea, a fire inside and the warmth of new adventure. 'Cause over the rise there's a new surprise, and gentle home raised my soul to venture. Come what may, there's a price to pay, I'm gonna vanish. Come what may, at the end of the day, I'm gonna vanish. No more time on the assembly line, I'm gonna vanish. No more crying at the back of the line, I'm gonna vanish. Seneca said, don't you worry your head, these gales can fade and ease the mind's distortion. I broke like a beast that desires the leash, I led by the noose, I still find time to ponder. 'Cause a genuine smile on those weary miles, and friendships forged breaks those chains asunder. Blown by the breeze of a deep unease, tied to the wheel, my mind is free to wander. 'Cause the pearls of the sky can catch my eye, and jewels of the sea chase away the thunder.
Song, the Jupiter Express. Talk us through this one, Roland.
So this song, I mentioned Rodrigo and Gabriela earlier, and I tried to showcase some of the stuff I learned from them on this song in the video, which you'll see now in a minute. So they were huge. So there's a kind of a Mexican, Spanish, flamenco feel to this, but the theme of the song is nothing to do with Mexico. It's actually to do with escapism, and it's kind of almost like putting myself in the mind of a fictional character who wants to escape planet Earth because of the mess we've made of the place, and he decides to take a kind of a one-way ticket to Jupiter on a maiden voyage, and suffice to say it doesn't go terribly well for him on the trip, and you can kind of see how it unfolds in the song, but there's a bit of a manic energy to it, and I tried to capture that in how I sang it, because he's like, there's a manic kind of element to it, but there's also escapism, and there's a great determination in the protagonist in it. So it was on an album, Dio Tima's Ascent album, and again, the album version is quite different to the version of the video, because the video version was done live in one take in Brendan Carthy's studio. Brendan Carthy has a great studio called Orchard Studios in Enniscorthy, Wexford, and Brendan is not just a producer of my last 3 albums, he's also did all the drumming. I used to originally do all the drumming on my albums. You see there's a drum kit there in the corner, but I got some very good advice from a gentleman from London called Adrian Collis, who was kind of saying, look, maybe you're doing too much yourself, it'd be good to involve some other musicians. So we brought in Brendan, and I think that was a really good move. I really love working with Brendan. He's a great guy, and the quality of his drumming is exceptional. But anyway, this was recorded live in Brendan's studio. There's no drumming in it. It's just me and the guitar and my vocals. So hopefully it is what it is. It's a good representation of what I do live, I guess.
Yes. Well, we're going to play that out on the show now. But Roland, I'm so glad that we got you on, because it's been great to chat through all your music, and to let everyone know that your album is out in September. Your new single is out now. So again, we're going to put details on the screen below. We want to make it happen that you play at the Troubadour. We've got to make it happen.
Yeah. Say it, believe it, and achieve it. Isn't that what they say?
Yeah, law of attraction, all the way.
The gift.
But no, this has been, always. But no, this has been lovely, and we wish you every success with your music, because you've got such a talent.
Thank you very much.
But thank you for coming on the show and sharing all your songs with us. It's been great.
Yeah, well, it's been a great pleasure, and I hope people have enjoyed the songs. And I've certainly enjoyed the chat and talking about my music. So thanks a million, Hayley, for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. It's Ronan, everyone. Huge thank you, Ronan Furlong. What a guest on today's show. We're going to leave you with the Jupiter Express. Thank you so much for your support, and I will see you soon.
Shredded with contagion, ravaged with distress. I think it's time I jump the line and take the night express. Crippled with confusion, chained to acquiesce. I hear a roar, I can't explore. It's time to fly the nest. I'm heading into nowhere, regardless of success. We're taking all the chances, we wouldn't leave for less. We're breaking every boundary, it's speed beyond excess. We're only moving forward on the Jupiter Express. Hurtling toward the edge,